Okay, let's talk about social networking. Okay, this has got profound implications for KM. Facebook, 400 million users and growing, right? Twitter, 15 million users and growing. The implications, though, are interesting. And think about this from a content creation. Less than, let's see, 90% of the content created in Facebook is created by 20% of the people. Some of whom are in this room. Ruth, where are you? Okay, so most people are not creating content, but some people are creating a whole lot of it. Another thing on Twitter is only 1 out of 5 people has ever tweeted anything who's a registered user. So, I won't put you in your tables. What are the implications of that for KM? Well, as Chinese would say in this old parable, lots of noise at top of stairs, but no one coming down. In other words, you got a very prolific group of people who are going to be the tip of the iceberg for you, and the other people are just going to be reading. Doesn't that fit your experience now with communities of practice? So what made us think that it was going to be different just because the code changed underneath it? These are still human beings behaving in certain ways. Now, the good news about this, I'll tell you in a minute when we get to it, is that more people are creating content than ever have in the past. All right, so we talked about what some of the implications here are for KM. I'm going to read you a couple that are just the tip of the iceberg of what our advanced working group white paper, which is going to be on the website on May 17th. And these are, because you don't need any more guidelines. How many guidelines do you have for social networking in your enterprise, right? But we thought we'd share just a few of the things we came up with that we think would be useful to remember. One is you don't need another Facebook. People who work in your organization don't need one. They got one. It's called Facebook. They don't need a social place to, to arrange parties. What do they need? Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is find out what in fact it is they do need, and that you can apply the functionality called social networking to. Be a fabulous result for people if you do that. The second is that size matters. On the internet, there are millions and millions and millions and millions, in fact 1.3 billion people on there who have, so you get a small percent of those, and you're still talking about a whole lot of people active on your site and active doing something if you're a public social networking site. If you've only got 5,000 employees, your numbers actually participating will be much lower. So don't get all freaked out about that. Just anticipate that and think about how you're going to make that different. Because the change management tools that you had to use before to get people to do something, you still got to use those change management communication tools to get them to migrate to this if you want them to use it. So size matters. Trust but verify. If you don't believe your people are well-intentioned and want the best things to happen, you shouldn't be doing any of this at all. If you think they're well-intentioned, then you still just have to kind of watch it and make sure nothing bad happens and provide these folks with guidelines. You think it's obvious. It's not obvious. In that free-for-all called the World Wide Web, it is not obvious what you should and should not do. You need to let them know that. Watch what happens. Okay, this is a counter to, we normally say in KM, if you've been to our measurement courses, you need to figure out what's important, you need to measure that, etc. This one is so new, you just need to watch and discover. You need to be measuring stuff, but you need to watch and discover. And then as you discover, you can put forward hypotheses and you can figure out what works. So mine that information. That's what analytics are about, and then invest in quarterly. And also build for change. Make sure what you do is agnostic because the tools are going to change and the technology is going to change. So I want to thank our advanced working group for that.